We need you to come with us. Claire's mouth goes dry. Security guards are walking toward Claire Hart's desk, and everyone on the trading floor knows what it means. She stands frozen, watching them approach, her hands trembling as her co-workers pretend not to notice. The cardboard box is already in one guard's hands, empty, ready to be filled with the remnants of her professional life. "Ms. Hart," the lead guard says, his voice neither cruel nor kind, just procedural. "We need you to come with us." Claire's mouth goes dry. This morning she was a senior analyst with a perfect record. This afternoon she's someone being escorted from the building like a criminal. She doesn't protest. She doesn't cry. She just stands up, grabs her bag, and walks toward the elevators while 40 pairs of eyes track her every movement. As she passes Sophie's desk, a junior analyst who's always been kind, Sophie leans forward slightly, so slightly that no one else notices. "I believe you," she whispers. "I know you didn't do this." It's the only human kindness Claire will receive all day. The elevator doors close on her reflection, distorted and small in the polished metal. She sees herself but doesn't recognize the person looking back. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends so you don't miss the rest of Claire's incredible story. Trust me, the biggest twist is still coming, and it will leave you absolutely speechless. Let's get started. 12 hours earlier. Claire Hart is sitting alone at her desk on the 40th floor of Mercer Sterling Financial. It's 6:47 p.m. The trading floor is emptying, traders loosening ties, analysts closing laptops, the daily exodus beginning. But Claire remains motionless, her fingers moving across her keyboard with the precision of someone searching for something that shouldn't exist. She's been staring at these numbers for 6 hours straight. On her screen, a spreadsheet glows with thousands of transactions. Most are white noise, the expected patterns of a functioning investment firm. But Claire doesn't see white noise. She sees what other people miss. She sees patterns. She sees lies written in decimal points. There, a wire transfer, $47,000, routed from a legacy account, one of those ancient institutional accounts that nobody ever audits, to something called Meridian Holdings. Claire's eyes narrow. She pulls up another account, $52,000. 3 weeks later, same destination, different legacy account. Her breathing changes. She goes back. November, December, January, February. 3 months of these transfers, small enough to avoid automated triggers, large enough to matter. She clicks deeper into the historical records, tracking backward through months that blur into years. 18 months, 24 months, 36 months, 3 years of systematic theft. Claire counts the transfers with the kind of precision that comes from years of analysing financial data. 47 different wire transfers. Total, $4,600,000. Bleeding slowly from Mercer Sterling's arteries into accounts that exist nowhere, belonging to no one, hiding behind names that dissolve the moment you try to touch them. She leans back in her chair. The fluorescent lights hum overhead. Outside, Manhattan glitters indifferently, unaware that someone on the 40th floor has just discovered a crime that's been happening for 3 years. Her fingers move to her keyboard. She opens a new email and begins to type. The message is surgical. No emotion, just facts, just evidence. She addresses it to her 3 supervisors, David Cole, VP of Operations, Marcus Reed, Senior Analyst, Thomas Wright, Compliance Officer. Men she sees every day, men she trusts. She hits send. The email whooshes away into their inboxes. Claire closes her laptop and stands up. Her legs feel unsteady. She grabs her jacket and walks toward the elevator, knowing that she's just pulled a thread that will unravel everything. She has no idea how quickly. The next morning arrives like a verdict written in cold type. Claire's phone buzzes as she's making coffee in her apartment. An email from Cole. Subject line, need to talk. Conference room, 8 a.m. Her stomach clenches. She knew they would want to discuss the email. She expected that. But something in the wording, the brevity, the summoning tone, sets off alarms in her nervous system. She ignores the feeling, tells herself she's being paranoid. She found evidence of theft. Her supervisors will investigate. Justice will be served. She arrives at Mercer Sterling at 7:52 a.m., 5 minutes early as always. The building is already alive with its usual controlled chaos. Coffee orders called out, papers shuffled, the low murmur of money being made. The conference room on the 40th floor is immaculate. Glass walls, a long mahogany table, the kind of room where deals are made, where fates are decided. Cole is already there, so are Reed and Wright, and Patricia Nash from HR. Claire's pulse quickens. Why is HR here? This is supposed to be an internal discussion about the investigation. Cole doesn't smile. None of them smile. Reed is looking at his phone with studied disinterest. Wright is staring at the table. Nash opens a folder with methodical slowness, the kind of slowness that suggests she's done this before. Maybe many times. Claire, Nash begins, her voice carrying the practiced sympathy of someone trained in how to deliver catastrophe. We need to discuss some irregularities we've discovered. Irregularities? The word comes out uncertain. Already Claire knows something is very wrong. Nash slides a printout across the table. Claire's eyes scan the document, and the room tilts. It's a wire transfer record. Her name is right there, her credentials, her login signature, her keystroke biometric. The transfer amount makes her breath stop. $4.8 million. The destination, Ashford Ventures LLC. The date and time are impossibly precise. 11:47 p.m. 3 weeks ago. That's not, Claire's voice cracks. That's not real. That's impossible. I didn't. Cole leans back in his chair with the ease of a man who has already won. We have the digital records, Claire. Your credentials, time-stamped entries, keystroke logs matching your biometric signature. They're forged. You know they're forged. I sent you the evidence about the shell companies, the transfers I found, which you then used to cover your own tracks, Wright interrupts smoothly. His voice is calm, practiced, lethal. You discovered our oversight procedures and you exploited them. The irony is, you almost got away with it. The lie is so comprehensive, so seamlessly constructed, that for a moment Claire wonders if she's losing her mind. But no. She knows what she found. The pattern was undeniable. The data was real. This is a frame. A surgical, premeditated frame. I didn't do this, Claire says, and her voice sounds small in the large conference room. I found the real transfers. I showed you. You showed us evidence that you then used to justify your own theft, Reed says, finally looking up from his phone. His expression is sympathetic. Practiced? Perfect. You positioned yourself as the whistleblower to deflect suspicion from yourself. It was clever, actually. Almost too clever. That's insane. That makes no sense. Nash's voice cuts through like a blade. Security will escort you from the building. We're reporting this to federal authorities. You can't. Claire stands abruptly, but the words die in her throat. She can see it in their faces. This is done. This is settled. They've already won. Cole stands and walks toward the door. As he passes Claire, he speaks so quietly that only she can hear. You should have left well enough alone. The elevator ride down feels like descending into hell. 2 security guards flank her, not aggressive, not unkind, but absolute in their purpose. They stop at her desk on the trading floor. All 42 of Claire's co-workers are studiously not watching, which means they're watching intensely. A guard begins placing her belongings into a cardboard box. Her phone, her photos, her coffee mug, the small personal items that mark this space as hers. It takes 7 minutes to reduce 3 years of professional life to a cardboard box. As she walks toward the exit, moving through the silent trading floor, Sophie, a junior analyst 3 desks over, leans forward slightly. Her voice drops to barely a whisper. I believe you. I know you didn't do this. It's the only human kindness Claire will receive all day. She gives Sophie a grateful nod, but she can't speak. If she speaks, she'll break. Outside, the New York street swallows her. She stands on the sidewalk with the cardboard box in her arms, watching people flow past her like she's a rock in a river. Her phone buzzes. A news alert. Mercer Sterling senior analyst arrested for embezzlement. She hasn't been arrested, but the narrative has already been written. That evening, Claire's apartment feels smaller than it ever has. The furniture is still elegant. The view of the city is still there. But something fundamental has shifted. This space, which always felt like a sanctuary of independence and control, now feels like a cell. She sits on her couch in the darkness, the cardboard box of her professional life on the coffee table, untouched. Her phone rings. International number. Tokyo. "Julian," she says before he can speak. Her voice is barely recognizable. "I heard what happened," he says. No question mark. No hesitation. He already knows. "How did you—" "I have sources. Tell me everything." Julian Ashford's voice carries no shock, no surprise. Just calm, measured attention. The voice of someone who is rarely caught off guard by anything. Claire tells him. The transfer she discovered. Her supervisor's dismissal. The fabricated evidence. The frame-up. The humiliation of being escorted out. With each detail, Julian listens without interruption, and that silence somehow makes it harder to speak. When she finishes, he says, "Let me help. I'll call my legal team. We'll fight this." "No," Claire says immediately. The word comes out with more force than she intended. "No, Julian. This is my fight. I didn't build my reputation on your name. I'm not going to fight for it on your name either. I won't use your money. I won't use your power. I won't use your name. This is mine to handle." "Claire, I mean it." A long silence on the line. Then, "I understand, but listen to me. Sometimes the best defense isn't fighting. It's patience. It's playing the long game. Let me observe. Let me watch what happens. But I won't interfere. Not directly. Promise me." "I promise I won't interfere in your investigation, but I can't promise I won't move pieces on my own board. There's a difference." Claire wants to argue, but exhaustion has finally caught up with her. "Just be careful." "I'm always careful. Sleep. Tomorrow you start fighting back." He hangs up and Claire is alone again, but the phrase "I'm watching" echoes in her mind like a warning or a promise. She can't quite decide which. Days become a blur of research and isolation. Claire sits at her kitchen table, her laptop glowing in the darkness. Around her, papers spread like a forensic landscape. SEC filings, offshore company registrations, beneficial ownership documents, bank records she's obtained through legal requests. She's become an archaeologist of fraud, digging through layers of deception, following digital breadcrumbs deeper into the rabbit hole. The shell companies are layered like a matryoshka doll. Meridian Holdings feeds into Vertex Capital Partners, which connects to Apex Investment Group. All registered in different jurisdictions. All connected by phantom directors and dummy investors. But there's a pattern. There's always a pattern. One name appears again and again, buried in subsidiary documents, hidden in beneficial ownership disclosures. TW Holdings. Thomas Wright. Using a variant of his name, spreading his fingerprints across 3 different continents. Claire's hands shake as she compiles the evidence. $4,600,000 over 3 years. Cole, Reed and Wright. Working together, building an empire of theft. She packages everything into a secure file. Every transfer, every shell company, every connection, documented, organized, undeniable. Then she reaches for her phone and calls a number she hasn't used in years. Agent Lisa Monroe answers on the second ring. They met during a previous case, a fraud investigation where Claire had provided data analysis. Monroe was thorough, honest, the kind of federal investigator who still believed justice was possible. "It's Claire Hart," she says. "We met during the Henderson case in 2019. I remember you. You were brilliant. I have something for you, something big." They meet at a coffee shop in Brooklyn, neutral ground. Claire hands over a USB drive containing everything. Proof of the embezzlement, evidence that she was framed, documentation of the 3-year theft pipeline. Her hands are trembling as she relinquishes it. Monroe takes the drive, just feels its weight in her hand. "They'll know this came from you. Can you protect the source? I can try. But the moment this goes to digital forensics, The moment we start the investigation, Monroe trails off. She doesn't need to finish. They both know how these things work. Do it anyway, Claire says. Her voice is steady now. The truth is bigger than my safety. In Tokyo, in an office that overlooks Shibuya Crossing like it owns it, Julian Ashford sits at a curved desk and watches 3 live feeds simultaneously. One shows the Tokyo stock market. Another shows the New York opening bell. A third shows his own investment portfolio ticking upward with mechanical precision. Julian is 60% of the way through acquiring controlling interest in Mercer Sterling's parent company. No one knows yet. No one suspects. He makes 3 phone calls in succession, each one surgical in its purpose. The first is to Thomas Brennan, his chief investment strategist. Begin acquiring Mercer Sterling's parent holding company.
Use multiple shell corporations. I want controlling interest within 60 days. Quietly. I don't want to whisper in the market until it's done. That's aggressive, Brennan says carefully. The company's solid, no obvious leverage. There will be, make it happen. The second call is to Sophia Cruz at Wall Street Insider, a financial journalist Julian has cultivated for years. They have an understanding, information for visibility, carefully packaged truth that serves both their interests. You might want to look into Mercer Sterling's compliance history, Julian says casually, as if making conversation. I hear there are some interesting irregularities, internal controls that aren't as tight as they should be, fund transfers that don't quite add up. I can't say more, but your readers might find it relevant. Sophia understands. She always understands. The third call is to his security chief. I want complete surveillance on 3 people: David Cole, Marcus Reed, Thomas Wright. Mercer Sterling executives. I want to know their movements, their communications, their financial transactions, everything. That's a lot of exposure, the security chief warns. Then be careful, but I want to know everything. The first article appears on a Tuesday morning. Sophia Cruz's byline reads, "Compliance questions loom at major investment firm, Mercer Sterling under scrutiny for internal controls." The article is vague enough to avoid legal exposure, specific enough to trigger concern. Within hours, Mercer Sterling's stock has dropped 2%. Financial analysts start asking questions. Short sellers begin circling. By Wednesday afternoon, another article leaks, something about federal authorities investigating legacy account discrepancies at Mercer Sterling. Stock drops another 8%. By Friday, short sellers have smelled blood. The stock has plummeted 15%. The board is in chaos. Investors are pulling capital. And Cole, Reed, and Wright are beginning to understand that the net is closing around them. In the executive conference room, Cole is pacing while Reed and Wright sit frozen. The SEC is asking questions, Cole says. They have internal audit requests. They want access to the servers. Someone's talking, Reed says, his face pale. Someone inside the firm. It's Hart, Wright spits. It has to be Hart. Patricia Nash shakes her head. Hart's been fired, she's isolated, she has no credibility. Then why are federal agents asking about our accounts? Cole demands. Why is the stock falling? Why are investors panicking? Reed's phone buzzes. He looks at the screen and his face goes white. The digital forensics team is examining Claire's workstation. They're going to find out the credentials were cloned. Then we disappear the evidence, Wright says, but there's desperation in his voice now. It's too late, Cole says quietly. The SEC doesn't work that way. Once they start looking, they find everything. The realization settles over the room like smoke. They're trapped. Their plan to frame Claire was supposed to end the investigation. Instead, it's accelerated their exposure. Claire watches the news unfold from her apartment, disconnected from her sources, but not from the outcome. Agent Monroe calls periodically with updates, never too much, just enough to assure her that the investigation is moving forward. The SEC has requested complete access to digital systems. Forensic specialists are examining the servers. The fabricated evidence they created is crumbling under technical scrutiny, but there's still a waiting period. A liminal space where nothing is resolved but everything is teetering. Claire lives in that space for 3 weeks. Her savings deplete. Her confidence wavers. Some mornings she wonders if she made a mistake, if she should have just accepted the frame and moved on, if the truth is even worth the price she's paying. Then Monroe calls on a Monday morning and her voice is different this time, not cautious but definitive. "It's done," Monroe says. "We have them, all 3 of them." The digital forensics team proved conclusively that the credentials were cloned, the transfers were backdated, and the keystroke logs were fabricated. We found keystroke logger hardware embedded in their office server room. They orchestrated the entire frame-up. You're exonerated, completely. The words don't feel real at first. Then they do. Claire's voice breaks. It's really over. It's really over. Your exoneration is being released to the press right now. By tonight, you'll be the whistleblower who exposed a $3.6 million fraud ring. The calls start immediately. News outlets, legal firms, former colleagues offering apologies and explanations. By evening, her face is all over financial news networks, not as the accused, as the hero. But when Claire turns on her television, there's another headline, and her breath catches. Ashford Capital completes acquisition of Mercer Sterling's parent company. Julian Ashford, global business magnate, takes controlling stake in Mercer Sterling Financial. The pieces fall into place. Julian didn't just watch. He orchestrated. He maneuvered. He ensured that the corruption couldn't hide anymore. Claire's phone buzzes. Text from Julian. "We should talk. I'm back in New York." The restaurant is the kind of place where Julian takes people when he wants to demonstrate power without saying a word. Candlelight. A table that overlooks the Manhattan skyline. Waiters who materialize and vanish like ghosts, the kind of intimacy that comes from infinite wealth. Julian sits across from Claire, composed and elegant. He's waiting for her to speak first. "You bought the company," Claire says. "It's not a question. I acquired a controlling interest, yes. You used my situation to. I used an opportunity to ensure corrupt executives couldn't hide," Julian says calmly. "Everything I did was legal, documented, and transparent. I didn't break a single rule. I simply accelerated justice. You manipulated the market. You leaked information. I ensured the truth would be found. I asked you not to interfere." Julian leans forward slightly. His eyes are steady. "I didn't interfere in your investigation. Your investigation succeeded because you're brilliant and because the evidence was irrefutable. I didn't change that. I simply created conditions where your investigation would matter, where it would reach the SEC before Cole, Reed, and Wright could bury it. You did the real work, Claire. I just removed obstacles." Something in his voice, not defense but simple truth-telling, makes Claire pause. "I'm not here to take credit," Julian continues. "I'm here because I believe in you, and because I knew you were right." "What happens now?" Claire asks quietly. "That's up to you. The company needs rebuilding. It needs someone with integrity, someone who won't tolerate corruption, someone who can restore trust from the inside." He pauses, letting the words settle. "Someone like you." 6 months later, Claire stands in front of the renovated Mercer Sterling boardroom. The space is new furniture, new energy, but still elegant and professional. She's been appointed interim chairwoman. The board members are watching her with a mixture of respect and uncertainty. Employees are scattered throughout the room, representing different levels of the firm. In the back corner, Sophie sits with her arms crossed, a small smile on her face. Claire takes a breath. She can feel the weight of what she's about to say. "For 3 years, this firm was infected from the top," she begins. Her voice is steady and carries through the boardroom. 3 executives used their positions to steal from us, to betray our trust, and when confronted, to sacrifice an innocent person to protect themselves. They gambled that their power was stronger than the truth. They lost. She looks around the room, making eye contact with as many people as possible. "But we can't simply remove the cancer and expect the patient to heal. We have to rebuild. We have to create a culture where corruption is impossible, where speaking up is protected, where integrity isn't a nice-to-have, it's foundational." Claire outlines 3 initiatives, her voice gaining strength with each one. An independent audit spanning 3 years, examining every legacy account, every transaction, every potential irregularity. A compensation program for employees harmed during the scandal, those who were intimidated, sidelined, or lost opportunities. And new compliance protocols with real teeth, whistleblower protections that matter. "We're not going back to the way things were," Claire says. "We're building something better." The room erupts in applause. Over the following months, the transformation begins. Claire walks through the trading floor daily, and colleagues greet her respectfully. The audit begins, investigators systematically combing through decades of records, finding what was hidden. Sidelined employees are rehired, promoted, given opportunities that were stolen from them by a corrupt regime. New compliance posters appear on walls. Town halls are held where employees openly discuss concerns. without fear of retaliation. The stock price, which had plummeted to $34, slowly climbs, 47 by month 4, 53 by month 6. One evening, as Claire sits alone at her desk, she opens her bottom drawer and removes a small velvet box. Inside is her wedding ring, the one she's kept hidden for years because she wanted to build her own reputation independent of Julian's shadow. She looks at it for a long moment, then slides it onto her finger. The metal catches the light from the city below. That night, Julian appears in her office doorway. He still has the access codes from when he owned the building. He's holding 2 glasses and a bottle of wine that probably costs more than Claire made in her first year at Mercer Sterling. "You did it," he says, settling into the chair across from her. "The firm is yours now." "It's not about ownership," Claire replies. "It's about stewardship. And you're the right person for it." They sit in silence for a moment, the kind of silence that only comes between people who truly understand each other. Then Claire says, "I couldn't have done it without you. I know that now. I fought it, but I know it." "You did the hard part," Julian says. He pours the wine with careful precision. "You found the truth. You had the courage to speak it when it cost you everything. I just removed obstacles. You did more than that. You believed in me when I was alone." Julian hands her a glass. "I've always believed in you. That's why I married you." "You're allowed to say I told you so." Julian smiles. "I don't need to, you know." They stand and move to the floor-to-ceiling windows. Outside, Manhattan glitters indifferently, unaware of the battle that just ended. The city continues its business, people rushing, deals being made, the endless circulation of ambition and need. But in one corner, in a renovated office with new lighting and restored integrity, something has shifted. Claire's voice is soft when she speaks. "I came to this firm wanting to build something on my own. I thought independence meant doing it alone. I learned that independence means knowing who to trust. It means standing firm in your truth even when the world says you're wrong. And it means accepting help, real help, from people who believe in you." Julian takes her hand. "The audit continues," Claire says. "There's still much to rebuild. But for the first time in months, I can see clearly. Not just the numbers on the screen, but the path forward." Outside the window, the city lights refract through the glass, creating 1,000 small points of illumination. Below them, unaware and unconcerned, people move through their lives, chasing their own truths. And above it all, in a quiet moment of earned victory, Claire Hart stands beside the man who watched her burn and refused to let her burn alone. If this story resonated with you, if you felt Claire's determination when she stood alone, if you understood the cost of truth-telling, if you believed in the power of patience and strategic thinking, then please hit that subscribe button right now. We're building a community of people who believe that integrity matters, that truth matters, that one person's courage can change everything. More stories like this are coming. Stories about ordinary people fighting against corruption, reclaiming their power, and rebuilding their worlds from the ground up. And while you're here, please leave a comment. Tell us, have you ever stood up for the truth when it cost you something? What would you have done differently than Claire? Your stories matter. They inspire others. They remind us that we're not alone in this fight. And hit that like button if you believe that quiet resilience beats brazen corruption every single time. If you believe that justice might be slow, but it's worth waiting for. If you believe that the truth always, eventually, finds a way. Because that's the real message here. It's not about the money. It's not about winning. It's about refusing to break, refusing to disappear, refusing to let the liars win. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in the power of truth. We'll see you in the next story.